everyone, and good time zone, everybody. It is Tuesday again, and that means that we're back here on Heart of Tales. My name is Marcus, online also known as the Individual, and today I am joined by three fantastic people I want to quickly introduce to you. First of all, the master of social media here and rocking a Critical Role shirt today is Ida, who is joining us. Great to have you here. Also, with a complete new background and currently an adorable cat on his lap, and also wearing a Critical Role shirt is Austin. Good to have you here. And also, finally, last but not least, totally not wearing a Critical Role shirt, because we always need to have at least one rebel in the group, is our amazing leader, Caro. Great to have all of you here. How are you all today?
Remember last week when we were boiling?
I am doing good.
Oh.
Wow, that's quite noisy.
I thought that was an ambulance at first, but no, that's Marcus's cat.
No, that was not my cat.
No.
That was not mine.
No?
That was nope.
Oh.
Nope.
I'm so
That's
sorry,
another cat in the
Shores.
distance, actually.
I apologize, Marcus's cat.
Even-
Ada, by now you should know the differences in the meows of the different cats.
No, but that's what his cat can sound like.
That is totally that is totally what he can sound like. But it's just like even the cats in the neighborhood, they just understand that it's time to gather to give you cat vantage today, and they're letting out their beckoning call. But to what you mentioned, Ida, yeah, I remember last week. It is a bit of a haze of heat and bathing in sweat, but I think, considering the temperatures last week, we had a great session still, and there was some fun to be had by the party, some nice conversations with NPCs, some completely not fights with those NPCs, and
No.
everything went well.
Oh, and before we
Absolutely.
move too far away from the t-shirt topic, our GM is also wearing a Critical Role shirt.
Oh, yes, I do actually, indeed. Yeah, it's just like because I'm cutting off a little bit, but Tal'Darai Republic. I like to have bears on my shirt because bears are cute, and Trinket is very cute as well. And I think every GM can always kind of relate to being forced to be put into a position to make animal noises because their players decide to interact with animals.
Speak with
So what is
animals.
was this the invitation to just get an animal companion somehow?
Could our party really keep another thing alive that couldn't defend itself? I mean, really? We barely took care of your other cousin.
I mean, that's a good question.
You guys can't even keep track of the cat in your party. He keeps wandering off and doing his own thing all the time.
This session will. Pss, 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 pss.
Great. Alrighty. Talking about this session, how about we over into that session and see how it goes? But before we go over into that, we have our regular announcements before we go into the game. If you're watching this, the chances are very high that you are on Twitch, and specifically on the Twitch channel of Heart of Tales, or you may be watching this in the future, but that's something different. I'm derailing, Marcus. We need to keep on the rails. So you're on Heart of Tales, and you're watching our Tuesday live stream for Convergence Manifesto, our weekly game of D&D 5th edition set in the Eberron campaign setting, and we are specifically playing the adventures of the Convergence Manifesto adventure series, which are written and published by Across Eberron. If you like what we're playing here, you can also play these adventures. Go to acrosseberron.com. You can check them out all there and find where to get them. We are in the 4th chapter called Living Legends, and so far, speaking for myself, we're having quite some fun. We play as our virtual tabletop on Astral Virtual Tabletop, and the music you're hearing is by Dark Fantasy Studios. Bam, almost blanked, but I still got it. And also the overlay that you see has been created by Caro, and the character art of these fancy, cool characters, absolute badasses that they are, is a cooperation between Caro and Seriel. And last but certainly not least, as we were talking about cats and catvantage, on this channel, in this game, we use a rule called catvantage. If you spot a cat on any of our screens, and there is, for example, a cat over there, you can spend your channel points to give one of these magnificent players, or the GM, catvantage. While they have catvantage, they can use that dose of catvantage to give themselves advantage on one roll of their choice. Keep in mind, a player can always only have one charge of catvantage, so don't make the mistake to give them twice to the same person. You can identify if someone has catvantage by the cute little cat icon that will pop up when they have it. I think that's everything. I think I'm gonna move us over to the intro while Ida
we just got one catvantage for Dythun.
Woo! I'll keep that in mind to put that on the screen as soon as we're back after a little intro roll.
Thanks, Banana.
Oh, and here we are again. And as you can see, before the credits, before the intro roll, Dythun did get a roll of advantage, of catvantage. And as you can see, there is a cute little kitty cat indicating that Dythun has one ready to go. But before we get to any kind of situation in which this might be necessary, let's talk about last time on Convergence Manifesto.
No, we don't need to.
Our adventurers have made it to Rukandral, the informal capital of the fledgling nation of Dargun. Here, they were sent by the Clifftop Adventurers Guild to seek another item linked to one of the planes of this world, the Chains of Mur'taal, an item attributed to a legendary hero and linked to the plane of Thelanis, the plane of fairy and stories. They've met their guide, Tantuul, who, after a night of rest and a little bit of shopping at the market, got them all ready to head out of the city, but not before dealing with a little bit of personal business, for which he asked our heroes to help him. Tantuul did have some history with a Medusa called Senka, a member or former member of an adventuring party that he was part of, but that has since then parted ways. Senka still called up some baggage from the past, and Tantuul wanted to be done with it. A meeting was arranged, and our party members joined Tantuul to this meeting in an absolutely not shady alley, where they immediately spotted bugbear assassins on the rooftop and confronted Senka about what she was planning here. Senka was not willing to just let Tantuul go, especially since she knew that he has a map to the Vale where the Chains of Mur'taal can be found. After some banter and then some escalation by certain party members, a fight was had and the party overcame the Medusa and her allies. Senka was allowed to get away with her life. But if that was the last they ever saw of the Medusa, well, that's left to be seen. And so, the majority of a party headed out of Rukandral, following their hobgoblin guide. But before we go to that, I would like to talk about something that might have happened a few days ago elsewhere. Not here. Somewhere even further west, on the other side of the Seawall Mountains, in Sterngate, a fortress city where the party, well, the full party, went from airship over to caravan, but our Leonin fighter mentioned that he had some business there. Business that he did not want to further elaborate on, and he just promised the party that he would catch up with them. once he was done. Dythun, your companions moved on. They found a caravan to travel with further east to Rukandral. And you found your business here. Because your family is no stranger to Sterngate, is no stranger to these borderlands. In a small fortified compound on the edges of Sterngate, you find a group of Leonin guardsmen keeping an eye on the only entrance into this compound. A familiar banner is raised on a tower. A banner in the colors and with the heraldry of your family. You approach the gate and the two Leonin guardsmen look at you. They raise their weapons as you approach. What would you like to do?
Hello. I'm thinking if I knew this beforehand, I would like before I approached them, I would take this tattered piece of banner out that Dythun keeps in his bag, and I have the description of it somewhere. I made this house banner. I should know what it says. I can't find it.
It says, "Just do it."
It just says meow on the front of it. I've completely lost it. I'm sorry.
No worries. But you pull out. You have a bit of a torn up banner of your family with you that you bring out.
Is there already a house that has a Periton on it? I distinctly remember wanting there to be a Periton, but I don't remember if one of the other houses already has.
No, there's some other fancy animals, but there's none with a Periton yet.
I think I had said it was like a golden Periton with
Beautiful.
like just like a red background and maybe like a silver shield behind it.
Right. Perfect.
That sounds right.
Perfect. A gold Periton, this winged creature, which a bird with antlers on its head, adorns this tattered banner that you have in your hand.
And it probably has like the bottom third of it kind of ripped at an angle.
Perfect.
But definitely still recognizable as the house that it once belonged to. And he would probably attach that to a piece of his shoulder armor, like he might have worn it before, and then approach the keep.
Great. You approach it, and these guards that look at you, they look wary, but once you come close enough, they see this banner attached to your armor, and they speak to you in your native tongue, and they ask, "You were not informed about a member of the Shadow Mains coming here?"
Well, I unexpectedly had some business bring me out this way.
And as you say that, you see behind the guards, you see the gate opening. It's just a gate that, it's not a massive gate that needs a lot of machinery to pull open, but this is one that can, by a strong person, be pulled open from the inside. And it is a strong person that pulls it open, because the person that steps now through the open gate is one that is familiar to you. Her presence is tall and strong. She is wearing heavy armor, clanking as she walks, and the majority of her fur is silver, with dark gray and black mane adorning and surrounding her face. A huge greatsword is strapped to her back, and she just moseys towards you and says to the guards, "This is my personal business," and strides up to you, puts a hand on your shoulder, smiles. "Come, let's have a drink."
It's been far too long.
And she takes you inside. You're led through the compound, and you see that there's enough space here for keeping a stationary group of about 50 trained soldiers supplied here. Sleeping rooms, weaponry, quartermasters, armories, everything's here. You know that your family member here, that she's in charge, and her name being Konda, is leading you to her private quarters, where she has already prepared some drinks and food. And you come in, and on the way here, she already tells you about the compound, about how business is going better for the family.
In the midst of this conversation, Dythun is going to very slowly pull out the javelin of lightning.
Mm-hmm.
And as he's like walking kind of like to her side and following her, like try to trip her legs with it.
Can you give me an attack roll?
Yeah. Oh no, it's a 9.
Advantage.
So what?
No, I'm not. This is a very cat-like thing to do. No, I'll save it.
While Konda is talking and walking, you pull out the javelin and you try to like knock over her legs, but her eyes dart to her sides, and she just jumps over the javelin as you try to sweep her legs, and she turns to you and just smiles, and you see that there's like in her grin, there's this one slightly jagged teeth in there, just like there's chips broken off of it, but she just smiles at you and doesn't further do anything in response to your attempt at making her trip. But she seems to acknowledge that she found it a nice attempt.
Just grin and shrug. Put it back away.
So she leads you into her office where there's enough food and drinks for the both of you. And after she regales you a bit about the situation and about things are going for the family here in Sterngate, she looks at you and says, "How are you doing?"
I think better than the last time we spoke.
That sounds like a very careful statement, considering last time we spoke was a terrible situation for you.
Well, I found myself part of the Clifftop Adventurers. Running with a good team. I like the people.
So you continue the family tradition of mercenary work as an adventurer now?
More or less, yes.
And is that why you come to speak with me? Is there any other business you might have to share? Don't get me wrong. I'm always very happy to just be the aunt with who you can talk whenever you want. But I've learned that even the closest family sometimes has their own agendas.
Well, I mean, I just passing through, really, but it is nice to have a contact still in the family. Just curious. I met with Kaitha not too long ago, but obviously there's things she can't fully understand yet.
Kaitha, you snuck into the Umbra Den to speak with her.
I had some help. You know me, I'm not the I'm not the stealthy person.
Makes it all the more impressive of how you got in there.
Lots of smiling and nodding.
I imagine that Kaitha was happy to see you. She talks a lot about you.
Really?
We write letters. But I think you can still be proud of her. She's doing her best. How is your condition doing?
You mean the one that the family won't talk about?
You know which one I mean.
It's proved very useful.
Not noticing any side effects?
Oh,
No need.
Wouldn't say
You don't
that.
feel like it's making you do things you don't want to do? That you hear voices in your head? That you suddenly have a third arm?
Well, that's behind the cape, but no, I'm not with the family anymore. There's nobody in the back of my head constantly telling me to do things I don't want to do.
That is very true. I've just been doing a little bit of reading of my own on this matter, and I'm a bit concerned. You should be careful with it.
The only thing I've noticed is just some bad dreams. And, I mean, I had those long before this, so.
I see.
So I've always wanted to ask, was it you that came out here, or did they send you?
Well, you know me. I like to go out to border towns, man a small compound with a small cater of our people, and just watch the borders until something happens. You know that is exactly my definition of entertainment.
Oh.
No,
Conda, I know you find ways to entertain yourself. Don't try and fool me.
I have your father to thank for this station. I assume you don't want him to know that we're having a conversation.
I doubt he'd acknowledge it. How is your sister?
My sister. She's making her moves. She reads the wind, as she likes to say. And as always, making sure that the decisions the family make are as much her husband's as they are hers. And right now the family is looking to position themselves better in the market. Mercenary services are up in demand. Borderlands are getting more tense. Breland, this country here, is stuck. Dargun on one side, Droem on the other. Both of these getting ready and anxious for maybe some saber rattling. Matriarch and Patriarch would like to make sure that Shadowmanes can compete with a certain dragon-marked house. Well, we do have to draw back that our family is not blessed with a mark.
No, they
At
like
least
to
most
claim
of
it,
us.
anyway.
But right now things are tense. And I understand why they put me in this place here. Keep an eye on things. I just keep looking eastward. I see something happen. Send a messenger over to the Umbra Den.
So, like, what do you call this place? Like the Shadow Hovel or something? Like, this place is
Call
tiny.
call it the shithole if you want to. But don't call the people in here or anything like that. They're good soldiers.
Are they all Shadowmane?
Oh, absolutely not.
Oh.
We're filling in with some other Leonin groups. Hell, we even had applications from a few other people in Droem. Rattling up a little bit of a recruitment drive over there. Listen, you don't... Last I heard, you were in Sharn, you joined an adventurers guild, and now you're out here in Sterngate. You're gonna talk shop with your aunt, but you're heading somewhere. Where are you going?
I should know that. Give me a battle map, and I can tell you the best ways to flank and where to send our soldiers. But
Great, how are you gonna know where to send your soldiers if you're not even knowing where you're going?
I think is it talking? Is that it? That sounds like something.
I think you haven't looked at a map in a long time, have you?
I haven't. No,
I hope these friends of yours are better at cartography than you.
they are. They're great. They tend to know where we're going and what we're doing, and I let them go ahead of me. That's
Oh, that's a
Surely
problem for you.
somebody knows where they're going. I have it written down somewhere. I just have to find it.
Well, wait. Your companions, they went ahead of you, and you decided to stay around here to have a conversation with me.
Yes,
And you don't know where you're heading.
it's the Rubicon, the Droll Rubicon.
She looks at you.
It's
If you were,
it's
if you weren't family, I would have smacked you for that remark. But
the I don't know.
like, are you heading eastward?
Yes. This is me not remembering. Yes, we're heading
You
east.
you wouldn't heading
Okay,
east.
yes. I was
Yeah.
like, I know we're heading east. Yeah. Geography for me is bad. Also.
Oh, so you're heading into Dargoon.
Yes.
How's your goblin?
That. Not something I picked up.
That's what I figured. And she walks over to one of her wardrobes that she has. She opens it, and you can see, as good as his commander, you remember Konda, she's not very tidy, and her wardrobe is a mess. Everything is just thrown in there. And she ravages through it and then pulls out this, what looks like this bronze choker for around your neck. And she throws it over to you. I have a few of those. I sometimes need to use them. They're a pretty nifty bit of enchantment magic. Put that around your neck, and you're fluent in Goblin.
This would have been nice when I was trying to learn.
Yeah, maybe that will help you ask for directions if you need to.
Right, I should. Through control. Is that a place?
Oh wow, you're heading to that place of power. Interesting. Tell you what, just to make sure that you don't get lost somewhere in Dargoon and get, I don't know, taken away by some goblin tribe.
Hey, who do you think I am?
I know very well who you are. You're probably my favorite family member.
Well,
and I want to make sure that you stay as safe as possible. I'm going to arrange. I have some horses available. You can take one of them to Rukandral. Once you get over the mountain pass, you can find the city easily, and that's the horses I have. They're fast. You might be even able to catch up with your companions.
I'm sure they've found their way. We travel in really strange ways. Sometimes it's an airship, sometimes it's a caravan that I'm pretty sure none of us could afford. But they have their ways.
Well, you should make sure you get back to them as quick as possible to see what else they have waiting for you.
I have a hypothetical question, just for your mind works very tactically, and if there was, let's say, a person not necessarily in power, but in a powerful city, collecting a lot of artifacts that do hold power, why would you think they would be doing that?
So you're telling me that a powerful person is collecting powerful items?
A not powerful person. This isn't like a lord or a noble, just somebody with connections.
Well, powerful items hold power. The more you have of them, the more power you would have.
Can you
Is
think of
that
any?
the kind of jobs they sent you out on from the Clifftop Adventurers?
Like I said, hypothetically,
Oh, sorry,
Obviously.
hypothetically.
but definitely noble reasons. Yes.
Our continent's history is filled with people who start out doing things for noble reasons, but somewhere take the wrong turn and have those things turn into anything but noble things. That often comes with amassing power. Hypothetically, if you knew of someone who was gathering these powerful items, I would, hypothetically, keep a very close eye on them.
Thank you. Not being connected to people, being connected with people outside of my normal realm of expertise, it makes me question if sometimes I'm just paranoid or thinking too much about it.
You probably are thinking too much about it.
Oh, yes. Hypothetically.
She just nods. And I'm assuming the two of you also have a bit of more banter on that day, a bit of conversation. But eventually, Konda makes it clear that she also has work to do. And you were given this choker that you can put on to speak Goblin, which she mentions is called a Dargul Negotiator. And you are also provided a horse, a very beautiful white horse with gray speckles on it, that can take you towards your destination. Konda, make sure you're saddled up correctly, that you're ready to go, provides you also with rations and food for the road, and sends you on your way again. As you ride out the compound, the dust from the hooves of your horse kicked up into the air, maybe even looking over your shoulder one last time, and you see Konda just leaning against the gate of the compound, just casually waves at you as you ride off.
But what's the horse's name?
Any suggestions, anyone? I feel like Lil Sebastian is too easy, but
I mean,
Name it Noodle.
you have some time on your journey to think about that.
Or for irony, it's called Diamond.
Time.
I'm okay with that.
Meanwhile, in our current timeline again, all of this happened in the past a few days ago. Where Dythun might be at this point, we may never find out again, because he's terrible at names and probably maybe rode into a different direction. However, the rest of the party, you just completed your business with Senka and followed Tantuul further out to the edges of town. Rebus is also with you, and Rebus acquired this pamphlet and little dictionary earlier, and they sometimes quickly stop at some signs that they see and just quickly flip through the pamphlet to see if they can translate what they're seeing. But Tantuul also makes sure that you further move on as you wander through these snaking and curved streets of the outer edges of Rukandral. Is there anything you would like to do while you're being led out of the city at this point?
Double check that we're not being refollowed by Senka's goons.
You keep a wary eye out, and you are very sure that nobody is following you for now.
So, is it common in Dargun that simple associates? And I will snake my arm through Rebus the way I did to his in front of Sanka. Is this a normal associate behavior?
Tantuul looks at you. People can be close like that with each other, that you put your arm through another person's arm. That doesn't have to imply anything.
So she got upset for nothing.
She got upset because she can be sensitive in some regards. I can assure you, I know that this might have a certain image, and I will not doubt, to be fair, Senka would have many reasons to feel like that about me. I am a very nice companion to have around, but I can assure you that there was nothing between us. At least from my side. I can, of course, not speak for her.
I was about to say, maybe you just didn't figure that for her it was different.
So you mean, and I look at Delphine, this could be the end result of a one-sided emotional relationship.
I guess so.
Interesting.
Rebus looks at the
What
two
is
of
going
you.
on in your mind?
Wouldn't you like to know? If only you could read minds.
You know, most of the times I'm pretty glad that I don't read the minds of other people. That would be too much.
Indeed. What a burden.
Rebus adds to that. I would not consider it a burden, Miss Rayn, to be capable of reading someone's mind, though it comes with certain responsibilities.
AKA burdens.
I would not immediately consider a responsibility a burden.
That's because you're a good person, Rebus.
Thank you, Miss Rayn.
Oh, here. And I dig out from, what was this session, like 17 or 16? Rayn had picked up a note written in Goblin when they were in the under tunnels heading towards the Shining Valley.
Right.
For practice.
Oh, thank you. This will be good exercise to practice my goblin.
Indeed. Let me know what it says. I'm curious myself.
And they put the note, they quickly look at the note, but then they notice that there's a lot of text on there that would be too much to quickly try to translate. Especially the characters are fairly new to Rebus, of course. And they then put the note into the dictionary and keep it for later
How
translation.
about you show the note to Tantuul because
No.
he can
Rebus has
speak
to
Goblin.
learn.
Tantuul just says, I completely agree. It shows great interest in a location to try to learn our language. And I have to say, the very nuances in the Goblin tongue are fascinating to study. That's the reason why Goblinoids make the best storytellers. Goblin is the best language to tell a story in. But I will show you that once we're further out of town. You further move on, and somewhere closer to one of the city gates that surrounds Rukandral, could all of you quickly give me a perception check? This is going to be a fairly low DC.
Perfect, because that's a 4.
I mean, wait. It's not looking good for me as well. Perception. This is a 4.
I'm gonna
You were
quickly also roll.
saying?
I'm gonna quickly roll for Rebus as well.
Please.
Natural 20.
Thank
you. Sipping our
that is-
assholes.
A total of 22. So your group wanders past, and at one point, Rebus looks up, and the rest of you would notice that Rebus stopped in the road for a moment and seems to be looking very interested towards one direction. And then Rebus looks to you. Apologies. And they point over to the direction where they were looking, and you see that just a little bit away from the road that you're walking on, there is what looks like a small tavern with a stable, and there is there's a minotaur in conversation with a Leonin standing next to a white horse with gray speckles, and that Leonin definitely looks like Dythun. And Dythun, you have made it to Rukandral, and you are currently engaged in a conversation with a Minotaur about putting away your horse into a stable. Are you wearing the choker that helps you speak Goblin, or are you not wearing it?
You mean the cat collar?
I am wearing the choker that for some reason has a bell on the front of it. I don't understand. It won't come off, but it's there.
Magical enchantments are weird and sometimes require strange implements.
Yeah.
And as you speak with it, you speak with the Minotaur in fluent Goblin, because the Minotaur is kind of making a problem about your horse. And
I don't need you to cook it. I want it stabled.
And I'm telling you, currently, there are beasts in the stable that would eat your horse. I cannot safely put it in there.
Oh, okay. Is there anywhere else I can keep the horse?
Just a little bit further down the road. Not as great as here. Well, it would be really great for you if I did not have, like, riding bears who very much eat your horse for breakfast. But, you can't go here for now, good sir.
Okay, thank you for your time.
And you, the rest of the party, you hear also Dythun talk, and he's speaking in fluent Goblin, with the Minotaur who's also responding in Goblin.
I'd like to sneak around and try to get behind Dythun.
Make a stealth check, and Dythun, give me a perception check, please.
This will go poorly. Any pluses to that?
This is fun.
12.
Ooh.
Natural 20 for 24.
No.
So, Dythun, you're still caught up in the conversation with the Minotaur, but out of the corner of your eye, you see someone making some exaggerated sneaking movements, and you catch Rayn walking there.
I don't even have to look over to Rayn to acknowledge that it's Rayn. I just somehow know. I think I just let Rayn sneak up on me.
In that case, if there's a lamppost or some kind of other thing, I'm going to or near Dythun, I'm going to climb up. The climbing is unusually easy, unusually smooth. And to anyone else, it looks like from the lamppost, I am jumping up another, arcing somehow 15 feet before landing straight down into Dythun. Catch me!
Okay.
And the Minotaur, through this entire spiel, was telling about all the great things about his establishment, which Dythun has to miss out on because the riding bears would eat his horse. And suddenly he just hears above him incoming, "Catch me!" And Rayn, you come falling down into Dythun's arms, and the Minotaur sounds "Oh!" and just sees you now in the arms of the Leonin.
Set Rayn down. Thank
I miss
you.
that.
I don't need. If I can't put my horse there, I don't need any of that. Hello.
Hello.
It's been a little while.
I wave over to Delphine and Rebus and Tantuul, who have seen me awkwardly sneak over.
Absolutely. Absolutely, yeah.
See, everyone's here. It's good. I was
It's,
kind of
it's
worried.
good that it's good that you're here.
I kind of worried I had the wrong place. Honestly, it's been something.
Something.
Yes. Also, everyone would have immediately noticed Dythun is not wearing his like perfectly gleaming, pristine chainmail armor. And he has more of a nicely crafted but like standard like splint mail armor.
You seem to be fond of many somethings.
Yes. How's the search for the chains of Morty going?
I look at Tantuul's face for a reaction to Chains of Mur'taal.
As Dythun says that, you just see there's just this pulsing vein in the forehead of Tantuul, who you haven't met before, Dythun, but as you say, like, Chains of Mur'taal, you just see this hobgoblin, well-dressed in also light armor on, like, just looks at you frustrated, but then shakes it off. I think you mean the Chains of Mur'taal.
That's what I said. Yes.
And he reaches out his hand to introduce himself. Tantuul.
Firm handshake. Dythun, pleasure to meet you, Tatooine. Where are we? So where are we headed from here then?
I was currently taking your companions further, where we'll leave the city through a westward direction and then follow the Gal River, a river that you would have probably followed yourself as you came here, to a little bit closer to the destination of the Vale, where the item could be found.
We are basically going mountain climbing again.
Oh,
Well, I think we're not going to exactly go into the mountains proper, more a valley in front of them.
and why do we always get into valleys?
Are there
That-
secret tunnels?
Ah, I'm glad you asked. The
Is there a
valley.
song?
No, I was about to explain a little bit of narrative theory to you, what kind of purpose the concept of a valley has in a story. You see, the valley is like a deeper place between two high places.
All right,
and
so that direction, right? Are we leaving soon?
Yes, we shall depart. I hope you have everything you need. Fly soon.
Dythun, actually.
Okay, my tune. Perfect. Let us head out.
It's Dyth. He's not very good with names.
And
Looking
you-
at Dythun with a face like, seriously?
What?
Your group heads out of the town. It takes you about another 30 minutes by foot before you leave the city proper. Now on the other side of the city walls, the sun at this point is burning down on you. And as you leave Rukandral behind, you set out in about a northwestern direction. Tantuul explains to you that there will be about 2 days of travel to get to the Vale. The first day of travel will mostly be with following the stream of the Gal River, the large river that flows through the country. And then the second day, you will probably travel a little bit further westward until you make it to the Vale. As you walk, you notice that the land around you is tinged in red colors, and a taste of dust flies through the air. The earth around you is tilled earth, and as you wander for the coming hours, you do find the occasional farms that are run by other goblinoids that are tilling their fields and taking care of their land. Sun itself keeps burning down on you, the temperature being warm but not unpleasantly warm. As you walk, you might break out a bit in sweat, but you don't have the need of taking off layers of clothing or anything. While you walk, Tantuul does regale you with some stories about the land, about the foundings of Dargoon, the history of the land. But if any of you have any questions while you're walking, he will also be glad to answer them. And of course, as you're making your way, if there's anything you as a group, now reunited, would like to discuss, go ahead and do so.
So, Dythun, where have you been?
Oh, honestly, I couldn't tell you. There's been a lot of places with strange names. Half of them, like, I'm pretty sure, like, I understand it when they're said, but then I just immediately, like, it doesn't make sense to me after that.
That's not exactly answering my question here now.
Well, I mean, you asked
It's
where I've
called
been.
evasion, Delphine.
I don't know what you mean.
Very good expert application.
I was visiting a friend.
Was the
It's
friend
not-
doing well?
Yes, very well. It's not often I get to travel this far, so I was taking advantage of the opportunity. Letters can only convey so much.
Noted. Oh, while we're walking, I pull out this awfully gaudy red leather bound black crown tipped mace. A souvenir.
Really?
Yes. Yes, go ahead.
Oh,
Well, it's not for you.
interesting. You know, it's fairly well made, despite the intention of looking rough. It's very nice.
Tantuul hears it and says, that almost sounds like a metaphor.
Maybe it is.
Dythun will hear telepathically in his head. You think you know who will like it? I bought it just for them.
Probably.
Excellent. There will be many more like it.
I think I think Dythun just like under his breath just like whispers something, but like forgetting like mental communication. I think he'd like look at Tatooine.
No,
I
Tantuul.
said as a joke, and now that's the
It's
only thing that's
Tatooine
come
now.
back.
It's Tatooine
All right,
now.
I think he looks to Tatooine and then back to Rayn, and then like mentally, does this one know about you?
No, actually. Well, has seen my illusion magics.
But not this.
No. I thought it'd be a
Okay.
little fun this time to be a bit more coy with it.
Well, it's a unique ability, and I don't want to be the one to spill the beans.
I can have a little bit of fun with it. Anyway, it's good to have you back.
Believe it or not, I missed you all. It's good to be back.
You should say that out loud. Close connection.
Just, nope.
So, Tantuul, is there anything of interest around here, or is it just like that this lad is red and like there's nothing much to see here?
That is the interesting thing about Dargoon. Of course, you see the red sand, and you see the mountains, and some of our fields that we till. But there is also a river running through, cold water, veins of the land. And unfortunately, much of this, what can look to you like a desolation, is also the result of way too much warfare by my ancestors. See, even our modern nation of Dargoon is built on this history of violence. And I do certainly hope that my own children and my grandchildren will get to grow up in a Dargoon where they do not need to learn how to wield a sword like I had to learn. And he taps the scimitar at his belt.
And we're going after the artifact of a hero, maybe one who fought many great battles. So we're going to an ancient battlefield?
You're right to assume so, that it would be a battlefield. But this place is something that was not born from battle, but that was pretty much born from Thelanis itself. Do you know how much do you know about the plane of the fairies?
Can I roll?
I mean, in practice, quite some. Theologically, academically, haven't had too much of the pleasure.
Oh, don't consider meeting fairies always a pleasure.
That
See-
I'm aware of, and that's what makes them very entertaining.
Then I think you will do just fine in the Vale, where we're heading. According to the map and the information that I have, the chains, their resting place, lies in the heart of a Manifest Zone of Thelanis. And if Thelanis is known for one thing, it is stories and tales. Now, of course, I don't think it is a coincidence that the possessions of a legendary hero of my people are within the manifestation of story itself.
And would there be any competition or interest to these chains?
Absolutely.
I imagine Faye would not be so kind to parting with something of great storytelling value.
You are correct in that. And I think we should be careful with any possible hosts we might meet there. Though, from my research, I know that many of the inhabitants of Thelanis also sometimes just enjoy watching a good story unfold. And if we, as their guests, help them to watch a good story, they might leave us alone.
Like a
Are we gonna have
love
to
story.
put on a play?
Do you feel like putting on a plane?
No.
A play?
That would require
we got an
memorizing
actor.
lines and places of and places names.
No. No. Put me in for like the stunt scenes or something. Be somebody's stunt double.
Well, I will keep that in mind, Byron, if we need a member for our cast there.
So, Tools, you seem to know this place pretty well. Are there any interesting, like, fauna that are commonly used for, like, brewing things? Flora? Fauna? Flora. No? Yeah.
Yeah, flora. Well,
No.
if you try hard enough, fauna.
All of that was in character, by the way.
It totally felt in character. Really.
That's bleed. That's bleed.
Yeah. What kind of flora are you looking for what kind of end purposes?
Teas, alcohols, anything people drink.
No, he gestures around you, and you're currently like walking over a field where there's like these brushes and little shrubberies, and he points to a few petals on them, and he says, well, my family used to just go out in the fields and pick some of these flowers, brew them in hot water. They have a bit of an earthy taste to them, but they taste like nostalgia to me.
Do I believe this person?
You can give me one of two things. Either you can give me an insight check to see if he's bullshitting you, or you can give me a nature check to see if these are actual plants that you should be consuming.
You know what
Well,
else
one of-
tastes like earth? Earth.
One of those is a -1, so I'll take the +4. I'll go for insight.
You still have to advantage if you need to.
True.
I don't know why I'm like I want to hold on to that, but no, I'll
You
use
got
it
lots
for
of
this.
cats.
I know. I'll use it for this. I'll roll a cat advantage.
If you feel it, I'm just saying.
That's good. I'm glad I did that. 21 total.
Did
For
you use your
insights.
advantage on it or
Yes,
not?
I did. I did.
You did. Okay.
Bye, kitty.
And by goes the kitty. 21 total was it, right? On
Yes,
a
for insights.
inside.
Yeah, no, nature's bad.
You look at him and you just notice this. The Tantuul seems to be pretty good at keeping a straight face if he wants to. But you just notice this ever so slight twitch in the corner of his mouth that he's like suppressing a smile.
Thank you so much. I hope they should make something with these, and I pick like a handful of them, something to like stick in a small pouch and keep for later.
And he just raises an eyebrow at that and then turns around and walks on.
I take one of the leaves that you just gave her and like no, I want to catch the smell of it.
There's not much smell to it. It's like, it's almost as if you're just smelling at grass. It's, yeah, nothing special.
And then I just put it throw it away.
All right. So you wander on for a few more hours as the sun still lasts, but eventually you notice that the sun has crawled over the heavens and is slowly starting to set. Tantuul, as much as he has a good poker face, also seems to have some skills at tracking and survival capabilities, because throughout the day he's keeping an eye out for good places to set up camp, And as the sun sets, he has already found a good spot not too far away from the Gal River,
Perfect.
underneath a large tree that has many branches and is covered in full green leaves. He points it out as a good spot to set up whatever tents you have, and already starts collecting some wood and other dry material to set up a fire. As he's gathering, he says, make sure you're all comfortable. I'm going to help you set up the fire, and then over our dinner, I will tell you the story of Mur'taal, so you can know what the fairies might expect of you when we go there. You should know the story.
One question before having this. You like to go to this place because they love stories and you love telling stories.
I just love stories.
So they love stories and you love stories, and maybe you have like a twosome there.
Well, I would feel very glad if I could say that I have entertained inhabitants of Thelanis with my stories. That would be eternal bragging rights.
Be wary of being a bit too good, though. They might decide not to let you go.
Oh, and add me to their collection of oddities. Have me in their courts for eternity telling stories, and until I go insane from telling the same story that they enjoy?
Never mind, you don't seem to be perturbed by this.
You'd just be another
He's already
collection
lost.
in their hoard of tales.
Bing. You each, I'm assuming that all of you are helping with setting up camp, unless any one of you wants to do something special while you're setting up for the evening.
I'll brew some tea.
With the leaves?
With definitely regular tea leaves.
Okay, gotcha. So since all of you came prepared, you have like the traveling tents that you can set up, you have your sleeping rolls and everything, and with Tantuul's help, it's easy for you to get material to get a fire going with everything you need to set up for the night. And eventually you sit all around the fire, the wood crackling all around you, and Tantuul, after he's finished his food, whatever kind of rations you have with you, he looks at all of you, looking across the flames as you're sitting in a circle around it, and he says, do you want to hear the story of Mur'taal?
So you hype it up. You make various allusions to how potentially important it is to what we're trying to accomplish. And now it is a question.
A question out of politeness.
Oh, that's right. You and Rebus did have a conversation about these sort of things. Yes, please. I'd be interested.
Wait a second. Let me get settled and taking a bit of the tea that Dythun provided and putting some of my whiskey in there.
What color were the petals?
The petals were...
White.
They were purple.
And the water is now purple. They wouldn't have been for tea, but Rayn uses shaped water to make them purple.
Okay. Perfect. So you're settling in for the story.
I'll offer tanning tools some tea.
What did you call him?
tanning tools. I don't know.
You're getting closer, actually.
We're getting
Oh,
there.
and Rayn has cat vantage. Thanks,
I
Guna.
have. Thank you, Grenora. I've enabled the cat vantage, kitty cat.
Tantuul, do you want some tea?
As he's settling in, getting ready for his story, you hand him over the cup, and he looks at the color of it, and he says, My throat is already warmed up enough for telling the story. Maybe after. And he hands back the cup.
Oh, hold on. And as he's trying to hold back the cup to Dythun, I will partially freeze it. There you go.
You froze the water partially.
Partially.
Cooled it down.
He looks at Rayn, looks at Dythun.
She likes water.
I like water. I'm so happy we're near the river.
He looks and then just carefully takes a sip. Thank you. And he hands it back to Dythun.
You don't mind if I smoke a little bit? I know that some people are quite sensitive to this.
Oh, thank you. So polite to ask, but I do not mind.
Okay.
So, as he settles in with everyone having drinks and their pipes ready, he looks into the fire, closes his eyes for a moment, and then exhales. Rachi Ana. The story continues. With Mur'taal, a hobgoblin warlord of great skill and pride. One day, an ancient crone told him of a legendary veil in which laid a trial that only the greatest of heroes could overcome. Seeking to prove himself worthy of his ancestors' weapon, he took off to complete the trials, but never returned. Many years passed through the land, and stories were told of great Mur'taal, of his skill with the chain and tactical insight, of his peerless Acha, and his unsurpassed devotion to Mu'ud. Then many more years passed, and eventually, as all stories do, his tale faded into legend. Much later, it came to be that the Dakani Empire found itself in battle with their enemies, the Tar-Nadal. The Dakani needed a champion. A young Durkala, Mishka, took it upon herself to follow the legends of Mur'taal, traveling to the Vale to retrieve the lost hero of our people. Along the way, she faced 3 great trials: a test of courage, a challenge of wisdom, and a trial of honor, to see if she was worthy of entering the Vale and retrieve Mur'taal. Driven by her mood, her duty to reclaim him as the champion of the Empire, Mishka passed all of the challenges set before her and found Mur'taal trapped in his own trial of honor, unable to see the solution. As Mishka questioned him with the wisdom of the Durkala, Mur'taal realized that only his pride and his Acha, his dangerous desire for personal glory, it was holding him back. Instead, he needed to follow his mood, his duty to his people. In understanding this, Mur'taal completed his final trial, and he was freed from his entrapment. The two heroes returned to battle, and Mur'taal, newly humbled by this experience, defeated the horse lord of the Terranadal by playing on the elf's own arrogance and need for personal glory. Thus, the field was won by the Dakani. Rachan Gathaldor. The story stops, but never ends. With that, Tantuul settles back, leaning back, relaxing, and looks at all of you.
So, how high are the chances that we, if we want to enter that area, need to do the same stuff?
Extremely
Like this
high.
test.
Extremely.
Oh, cool. Good that we got to know this before we try to enter it, you know?
I guess I'll sit this one out.
That would be a first.
Do these names of these trials inspire fear in you, Rayn?
They inspire unlikeliness. And also, who gets to define these terms? Why are we bound to what some trial or ephemeral spirit decides is honorable?
But that is one of the great philosophical questions even the old Dakani have already asked themselves. What truly is honor? As much as many of these modern warriors in Dargun's army want to tell you that honor is something that is fixed and defined, I believe that it is not something that you can just define. Honor, just like wisdom and courage, are very broad terms.
And very misused and miswielded.
I am myself a victim of that. I like to use those terms very creatively in the stories that I tell.
So, if Mur'taal and Mishka needed to do their own trials, that could also mean that every one of us has their own trial. If we
Possible.
tried it.
That is possible. Or, whatever state the Manifest Zone is in these times, maybe we're going through the trials together. But it is a possibility that at some point we are challenged individually.
Well, I don't think a test of courage would be too hard. Basically, just don't get scared.
What about the courage to tell us what you were doing all this time, Dythun?
See, I believe that would be more of a test of honor, in which I hold to people's privacy.
Again, a further discussion of our interpretation and someone else's high and mighty ideas being lauded over us in order to make us think lesser of ourselves and our priorities within contexts that only we are familiar with.
Well, to complicate the matter, Rayn, if there are any inhabitants of Thelanis who will watch us do these trials, they might have their own outlandish ideas of these terms. I know not much of the Fae, but I do know that they think very different from us.
Just try not to get caught in their tricks.
I hope you will have no problem with me also joining you in the Manifest Zone.
I think it's for your own safety that you should be with us within the Manifest Zone.
Is it though? I mean, in everything that we did so far, it wasn't exactly safe.
How good are you with heights? I guess is what I'm asking.
I used to go climbing the tallest buildings in Rukandal together with my brother.
Hmm.
And there was no space there for having any fear of heights.
Good. Might come in handy traveling with us.
I have a feeling that there will be some poetic beauty in the fact that I'm traveling with adventurers from the Cliff Top Adventurers Guild, and you're asking me how good I am with heights.
I mean,
It's just there's a habit, you know.
Rebus adds on to that, we have indeed a bit of a habit for making dramatic exits.
Oh well.
If there are no other questions about the story or where we're headed, I would advise for all of you to get a good night of sleep. Maybe we can also take shifts in watches, keeping an eye on things. We are in a
I will
relatively...
prefer that one.
Rebus says, I do not require any sleep per se. I can take parts of the watch.
I'll keep watch as well.
Likewise. How close are we to the river? It's like a walk away, or we're on the bank?
Like you can still hear it rushing by, but you're not like directly next to it. Like, but it would be a quick walk over to the river.
Okay,
You could like easily like walk away from camp and go for a swim or something.
Okay. But yeah, Rayn will join the bevy of watches, whatever is needed.
Cool. I mean, between the total of 5 of you, we'll have more than enough people to have a nice watch roster to keep eyes on things. And Tantuul makes it clear that he's not going to take first watch. He's first going to catch a little bit of shut-eye. As all of you also set up in which order you want to take watches, and then also start enjoying your rest for the night. And as you all settle in, I think this is a good point to take our break for today's session. So we're going to take our break of 10 minutes. We'll be back in 10 and then continue where our adventures will be going.
Woo.
See you in 10. And we are back for the second half of session 27 of Convergence Manifesto. For everyone who's tuning in for today, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoy what we're doing here and you're like, hey, I want to keep tap on these people and check what they're doing out there, you should definitely follow us on our socials. You can follow our link to our Twitter down below, and also the link to our Discord, where on both places you find every information about what we're up to on the channel, any kind of games we're putting up. And if you join us in the Discord, feel free to also say hello in the Discord and chat with us and other people there. Yes, exactly, Shores. You want to do the announcements? Come on, come over here.
But we don't speak Leonin.
Yes, we're doing the announcements also in Leonin. Next to our Discord and Twitter, if you want to catch up on any of our previous streams, any previous games that we played, and not just our Convergence Manifesto games, but also the other games that we run on this channel, you should definitely check out our YouTube channel, which you can find at youtube.com/Horde of Tales. Oh, damn it. So youtube.com/Horde of Tales is where you can find our VODs of all our games. And if you like what we're doing there, also subscribe there, follow us on YouTube. That would be great. And of course, you can also follow and subscribe to us here on Twitch, which is always appreciated.
Don't forget to comment on our videos and to give us a thumbs up on them, because this helps us gaining more reach in the World Wide Web.
Also, because the amazing short in the game of Vampire Second Shopping, where one of the characters said, "Friends tear men apart for you," got like some downvotes, and I'm like, wow, there are some haters. So we could use some likes to counter that, because that's what good friends do, indeed.
Exactly.
And if you're mad about it, they're referring to you.
Exactly. Then that was a great scene. That entire game was fun, and if you want to check it all out, it's all there on our YouTube channel. With that being said, our party members have enjoyed a night of camping close to the Gaul River, taking shifts in keeping guard, keeping an eye out on any kind of danger that might be coming out. But fortunately, the most dangerous thing that you see in the night are some curious birds of prey that land in the tree above you, and some small packs of hyenas that roam by, but are kept away from gauging you as a bit too dangerous as prey. The night goes by uneventful unless someone of you wants to make it eventful.
What do you have in mind?
Well, I was gonna say whether or not Rayn is alone on her watch. Depends who comes after, I guess. But Rayn will use her disguise self, and you see her turn into a slightly taller Triton woman with like this sort of Greek mythology Diana type dress and armor, with like long sea green hair pinned straight, with lots of like metal clasps at the bottom, holding it together, many tails at the same length. Sort of just like, as Rayn is sitting like between the river and the camp watching, just kind of mutters aloud in this shape like, "So you would leave the family and break our generations of honor? So you would disregard all the wisdom that is being offered to continue the course to protect our peoples? Have you no courage to follow in your brother's footsteps?" And just sort of like out loud be her mother scolding her old self.
I have questions there.
Dythun.
I have a passive perception of 19. Would
As
would
Rayn is
I
just like,
maybe
kind of muttering, like not quietly, but muttering, and it's like,
would I pick up on this?
You would definitely pick up on that. Like, you would, somewhere in your sleep, you would be turning, maybe because you're not completely comfortable, and you know how sometimes you wake up in the night because you're not lying comfortably, and one moment you're awake, and then you also hear this muttering from one side. And you would notice that there's this Triton woman standing there.
I immediately look around to see if Rayn is like at our campsite.
Rayn is nowhere to be seen at the campsite.
"Your brother has worked so hard and has made an example of her family. This was the opportunity to have two exemplary swords people at the helm. And what do you do with your chance? You just squander it."
I'm gonna sneak up on this strange Triton woman. Longsword drawn.
Can you give me a stealth check for that?
Yeah, I'm at disadvantage and no modifier. This will be great.
Oh, right, because it's exactly.
I don't know. I fall or something. That's a 1.
That's Rayn.
As you, what do you know of honor?
Rayn, as you say that to yourself, you
To
hear.
Dythun.
Oh, you say it to Dythun. Okay.
Because I've heard this crash.
Yep.
Just like stands up and draws a shield and his longsword. Are you speaking in your normal voice?
It's Rayn's voice, but Rayn went hoity-toity. It's Rayn throwing a voice. The spell changes changes how I look, but not how I sound.
Right.
So you hear Rayn's voice, but like sounding hoity-toity, which is strange to say because Rayn is a hoity-toity voice, but Rayn is now.
Projecting even more so.
Yeah.
Is Rayn?
Well, young one who has left his family, who has abandoned responsibility and placed it on some very young and unprepared shoulders.
I know honor must be broken sometimes.
And at our people's expense, isn't it? All because you wanted to taste some freedom.
He'll put the sword away and just walk over closer. What would Rayn have to say about this? What does Rayn think of honor?
I'm not even sure that child has any honor towards herself. Throwing herself at any of the young new recruits coming up to the ranks.
Delphine, what
Mhm.
is your passive perception?
11.
Not yet noticing this.
I think me and you have met very different Rayns. Rayn's one of the most honorable people I know.
Then she should be back with her family.
No, she should be with those who honor her as well.
She would have been honored back in our society. She would be lauded and given all the support to be a great leader. She would be responsible for many lives, ensuring their well-being. She was raised with honor, and she would live and lead with honor.
And yet here she is.
Perhaps this is not her. Maybe she's not at fault. Maybe it was the extraplanar abomination that did this. You know how it affected her. Maybe these thoughts aren't her own. Maybe they never were. Maybe this is simply a symptom of a disease she doesn't realize she has yet.
I'm gonna place a hand on not Rayn's shoulder.
Your hand would go through a bit.
Yeah, just like
Because,
land kind of inside it a little bit.
The frame would be like, yeah, projecting bigger.
Just like,
Exactly.
I believe honor is not the most important thing in life. As much as many great figures in life and challenges we have to go through also involve courage and wisdom. It takes courage to abandon a life set up for you It takes wisdom to know that that's the right choice for you. Wisdom is not following blindly the path set before you, it's knowing there's a trap waiting at the end of it, or that there's a shortcut through the bushes, or perhaps the destination just isn't right.
I roll to keep the illusion or not. Uh, no, I think just the Triton woman just kind of sits silently, just kind of staring forward. Then we'll just have to see how young Rayn does on these trials.
Well, I for one believe she'll be just fine. I turn and walk away. Back to camp.
Delphine, could you at this point give me a perception check with disadvantage?
Sure, I can. Oh, such. Oh, okay, yeah. This is what is my perception? This is 11.
11.
It could have been a 21.
You're not noticing anything at this point.
That's cool.
Still sleeping as Dythun wanders back to the camp. Rayn, is there anything you would still like to do?
Nope. The Triton woman just kind of sits quietly. There's no further sounds coming from them.
Gotcha.
And eventually, before my watch is up, the spell drops. I go to sleep and poke where needs to take the next watch.
Perfect. And the watches at night further go by uneventful. In the morning, you are woken by the sun rising over the horizon and Tantuul already up in good moods and spirits as he's singing a little song to himself, preparing breakfast, getting a bit of water to boil, and watching all of you rise from slumber. I take it you have rested well? All of us are still alive. No one of us has been harmed by any creatures of the night. And no one of us has yet been whisked away by any of the fairies.
Are we so close to fairies now?
Oh, no, but you... Come on, I just wanted to add a little bit of drama. One more day of travel ahead of us. Further westward, we're going to leave the river behind us and travel closer to the mountains.
Oh, if we must.
So, Joltoon, you've been to where we're going before?
The general area, Dyson, with my previous adventuring group, we sometimes had some business there, helping overly brave prospectors see if those mountains hold any kind of rare ores. But the presence of the Manifest Zone in that area is generally known to many miners. But if you don't know how to deal with the threat of a Manifest Zone of Thelanis, you won't have any good luck mining there.
Right, so you know how to deal with this threat, then?
I would say that I have good knowledge of the land, good knowledge of the general area there. And since we're coming prepared, knowing of the story that we're going to be participating in, we have a better chance of dealing with whatever Thelanis has waiting for us.
Right. So, following in the footsteps of Mur'taal, then?
I sure do hope so.
And then what is your battle in this case, as camp is being packed up, I guess?
Mm-hmm. My part in this?
Are you the courage, the wisdom, or the honor?
I see myself as a little bit of all three of them. I have a good dose of courage, otherwise I would not be traveling with you. It takes a certain degree of wisdom to survive in my business. And I have always honored every deal that was made with me.
I don't trust this person for some reason.
I don't like his face. I can't trust him.
I want to
remember his name.
But honestly, I don't even want to know.
So, Tantuul, tell us. You said you have grown up with a sword in your hand, basically. What did you do?
My mother was a great warrior in service to our country. And my father was a farmer, also in service to our country, making sure that people are fed, while my mother made sure that people are safe. I never felt pulled into either direction. So, I learned all the skills that were necessary to live a bit of a life of adventure, to go exploring and keeping myself safe. That's what I learned to wield a sword for. It's not because I like wielding it. It's a necessity. Also, I would say that I'm not extremely skilled in it. There are things I can do a lot better.
Like, telling stories.
Absolutely. Those are my weapon of choice.
Well, next time you see a beast in the sky threatening to pluck us down, tell it a story.
Rayn, it seems like you're quite salty today. What happened?
We are
Did you
near
have a bad
fresh
dream?
water. I do miss a bit of salt water every now and then.
I can sprinkle some salt on you, you know.
And that would accomplish...
Taking out, I have like a little bit of salt for seasoning food. Taking out a little the small salt satchel that I have, sprinkle it on top of Rayn, then taking my water bottle and splash it over.
I suppose I literally asked for that. And I I shape water to just kind of bring it back into droplets and just keep it like swirling around my hand.
Perfect. And with a swirl of salt water around you, the party breaks up camp and makes their way further westward to the destination of your journey. And you do see in the distance already the mountains looming for the same mountains that you have crossed when you came here from Sharn with your little layover. But now you see them from the other side, the Seawall Mountains. But your destination is fortunately a bit closer than the actual mountains, because those are way further than just a day of travel. You see during this day of travel, there's a bit more overcast, more clouds in the sky, which is nice because you're traveling more through open fields, and these clouds sometimes at least give some shade. While Tantuul is checking the map in between that he has, double checking where he's going, and keeping you all in the right direction. Eventually, you do notice that the land gets a little bit more hill-like. There's a bit more rolling hills, bumps that you go up and down on. And on these hills are these little forests and patches of green. And the further you travel throughout the day, I would like all of you to give me a... This might be a bit of a weird combination to roll, but I need you to roll me a charisma check, just a straight charisma check. And if you are proficient in perception, you can add your proficiency bonus. So you're basically making a perception check with charisma.
So charisma plus proficiency bonus.
Yeah, if you're proficient in perception.
Okay, I have a weird question.
Mm-hmm.
I get advantage on perception checks. Do I get advantage on this one?
What kind? Is it like a specific kind of perception check that you get advantage on?
You know what?
Do you have a shield that does this?
Maybe. It says wisdom perception. So
Yeah. So then it has to be with wisdom.
Okay.
Do we add the charisma modifier on
Yeah,
top of
the charisma modifier plus your...
Okay.
But only if we're proficient in perception.
Only if you're proficient in perception. So basically, usually if you do perception, it's wisdom plus your proficiency modifier. This perception check is charisma plus your proficiency modifier.
Well, I'm not proficient, so straight roll for me. Rayn rolled a 12.
12.
I got a natural 20 again.
For a total of?
23.
23, perfect.
Charisma proficiency. Okay, yes, 23.
21.
21. At one point throughout the day, you're walking across a hill and past this bit of trees and foliage. Dythun and Delphine, both of you at one point look into this little forest, and you just see peeking out through the foliage, you see multiple sets of eyes in different colors. Purple, green, yellow, orange, all looking out of these bushes. And as the two of you look at them, you see that peeking out of the top of one of these bushes, you see the silhouette of what just looks like a very large rabbit with glowing red eyes. And you blink, and the rabbit and the eyes are gone.
I mean, I noticed that Dythun is looking in the direction as well. It's like, I'm just pointing over there. You saw that.
You saw the giant rabbit thing?
Yeah. There wasn't something in the tea from last night, wasn't it?
I mean, I did actually drink any of it.
Okay, then, never mind.
Wonderful. Would these maybe, like, the sorts of things... Lootnat, is this the things you're talking about?
He,
Tantuul backwards.
Tantuul looks at you, and he sees you just looking into the direction of this bush, and he's like, "What exactly are you talking about?"
There was a what? A giant rabbit with some glowing eyes, and then it wasn't there, but it was there. I think.
A giant rabbit.
Or something.
Of all the
Well,
things you tell us, Tantuul, why is a giant rabbit unbelievable?
I am not saying that it is unbelievable. I'm just taking in the description by our companion here. And I was about to add that we are in the outliers of the Manifest Zone at this point. We're getting close to our destination. It would not be unlikely that we're going to witness a few peculiar inhabitants.
So both of you are saying that there was a large rabbit.
I mean, I'm not going to be steadfast that it was a rabbit. It could have been like a skunk or a badger. Or.
It looked like a rabbit, and there were lots of smaller, different eyes.
I will minor illusion and no larger than a 5-foot cube. So this is a big rabbit, and I make a silhouette of a large rabbit, like that.
More or less.
I hop it around.
It didn't look like a standard rabbit.
This is fairly not standard. Would make an excellent meal when this big, but. And you said also that there was in the bushes. What?
Like a bunch of eyes.
Minor illusion. Assorted eyeballs?
No, not. That's disturbing. No.
One of them floats up to Dythun.
Right.
Let's keep going. We're wasting our time here.
Look around
Well.
to see if anything has been attracted to the little show I did.
Not as far as you can tell at this point.
Noted.
And you travel further through this hillsided place, and the further you go, the dimmer the light gets. And you do notice that crawling over the ground is a thin blanket of mist that starts to move towards you, not higher than your ankles at any point. Why the light gets dimmer is hard to tell. It's not like there's more clouds appearing or that the canopy above you gets much thicker. It's almost as if something just decided to mute the light a little bit. The smell changes as well, the scent that you pick up. Where for most of your journey, you hardly found any kind of plants that had much of a fragrance to themselves. You do notice that now you start to smell an intense mixture of flowers and the scent of freshly turned earth. You also, as you listen, seem to hear in the distance a very gentle sound of different birds calling, as if a flock of birds is flying by somewhere in the distance. Tantuul looks around, inhales. Yes, this is the Manifest Zone. Do you feel it? Do you feel the... just a change in the air?
You mean besides the fact that we are now walking like through a what is this called? A twilight state, and like there's some mist on the floor.
Well, of course, that's the very obvious set dressing for this, but don't you just feel there's a certain static to it. I can just feel it across my skin.
Tantuul, you've experienced this before, actually. Well, at least by proxy.
Mm.
In the encounter with Zenkam, I had spirited myself away to a rooftop. And
You
I
did
kick
indeed.
at the mist at the ground. This is what helped me get there.
Tantuul leans down, puts his hand through a bit of the mist, and he like lifts it up a bit, and it just seeps through his hand, through his fingers. Do you think this place can teach me the same trick?
Depends what you have to offer in return.
Let's see what I can offer. Come. Let us move on. I think according to the map, we should be getting fairly close to... Oh. Huh. He looks around. I should have known this. And he folds up the map.
Ah,
Oh, we don't
Just,
need the map anymore. So good to know.
no.
I wouldn't say we don't need it anymore, just that
The
at this
map
point...
has been rendered meaningless.
I would rather say that Thelanis has decided to change the stage a little bit.
Oh. Dythun was taking his sword and he was drawing a little smiley face in the mist. But then he like erases that, goes over here, and he draws a little frowny face in the mist.
Could you also all at this point just give me a regular perception check?
Lovely.
Don't forget, I think that still two people have Catvantage. Rayn has Catvantage and Delphine has it. So if you want to spend it,
I'm
you can.
saving my Catvantage right now.
All right.
13 for Rayn.
13.
2.
2.
I see shit.
I get advantage and a +4 for a total of 8.
That shield
8.
is so nice. My cleric has one and I abused the crap out of it.
All of you follow Tantuul further into the misty landscape. And now you do notice that the flora around you is slowly taking on some more eccentric shapes. You pass by a large tree that, as you approach it, seems regular. But the closer you get, you see that the bark of the tree seems to be slowly moving, as if it's inhaling and exhaling. You can actually see further up in the tree that there's an opening in the tree, and as it exhales, you see that pushed out through the opening is just this golden glitter that then glides into the air and is carried away by the wind.
Is anyone else seeing this tree breathing? They don't normally do that, right?
Rebus looks at it. I do very much see it breathing. And all of you also see it.
Well, maybe we should just accept the fact that this tree is breathing. I mean, if we are indeed in a different zone, in a different plane, then things are different. Maybe the next flowers we encounter are just walking by.
Walking trees?
Imagine the kind of brew you can get from a place like this.
It feels a bit. I mean, if the things are like alive, that feels weird to take from it.
So are all the other plants from which you take sustenance and their parts for brewing.
Oh, yes, but like.
She's actually not wrong with her.
Yes, but like they're not breathing and walking. Probably couldn't have a conversation with them.
If you
Excuse me,
would ask,
tree?
if you would ask a druid, they might tell different.
Excuse me, tree. Do you have any leaves you are not using that we may partake of you?
And another dose of glitter comes out of the opening.
I guess the glitter is free.
Don't get me started on fruits.
You leave behind the breathing tree. And you see, and more correctly, hear the earlier sound of birds that you hear draw closer. And you hear like there's a myriad of different bird calls in there, various sounds mingling. The mist that reached up to your ankles becomes thicker, slowly rising up towards your knees. Could everyone give me a charisma survival check? So this is going to be a charisma-based survival check. Here's one you never used before.
I'm never proficient in any of these things. It's a straight roll for me.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I could hit that good.
Total. You know what? Cat vantage.
Cat vantage!
Try to roll it so low.
Bye, kitty cat.
Bye, kitty cat. 13 total.
Is this a... We're not getting charmed, aren't we?
Actually, I would consider this a charm effect, yeah?
Because I have advantage on that one. Oh, come on, give me some better. Oh no, it's not better. Okay, I'm taking another one. 16 for me.
16.
So wait,
Dythun,
is this a check or saving throw? I'm sorry.
No, it's a check. It's a check.
Check.
7.
The saving throw would have been better.
Dythun, what did you get?
17.
17. So we have 13, 16, 17. You venture further through the mist, past more strange plants. There's this little shrubbery that sits, that resides close to the path that you're walking now. And as you get close, you just see it lift out of the ground, and it turns out to be this three-eyed turtle that just looks at all of you, and then skitters off with the shrubbery on its back. And you do see, however, at one point, that Tantuul stands still. And he seems to be looking at something. You don't know at what he's looking. He just seems to be looking around. And he carefully reaches out with a hand as if he's trying to touch something. And then shakes his head. I think we're close.
What
I
are
think
you
we're-
reaching for?
This place, it wants to provide entertainment, and it sometimes draws that entertainment from your own recesses of your mind.
What did you say? see.
I mentioned this earlier, Rayn. You are interpreting this in an incorrect way.
What a good story it makes.
Oh, it's best if we are staying close together, not that any one of us gets lost because of seeing stuff.
I would agree with that. Let us stick together, and if any one of us should exhibit some strange behavior, we can help each other out. The behavior I just exhibited was not that strange, considering the circumstances we are in.
I will say you're unfamiliar with our group. We kind of always exhibit strange behavior.
Like being unable to pronounce the name of someone you've been traveling with for 2 days correctly?
Now, I will say you haven't. It is Dythun. You seem to be. I wasn't going to point it out again, but you seem to struggle with that.
And my name is?
I mean, it's obviously Toolten.
Let us go on. And he turns around and wanders on.
Right. That's why I made such a big deal about that.
Whispering to Dythun. It's Tantuul.
I know.
The mist and the forest around you is getting denser. And at this point, for your logical thinking minds, it seems very unlikely that, considering the terrain you've been traveling through for the past 2 days, that you would be stumbling upon a forest like this in the middle of this landscape. The trees are tall, towering over you, and their branches in the canopy are starting to entangle with each other. If you look up through into the dim sunlight that comes through them, it actually looks like some of those trees are shaking hands with each other as they reach out in the canopy. The roots of these trees in the grounds are thick, and you have to carefully watch out for them because thanks to the thick blanket of mist, sometimes it's hard to see these roots in the ground. Tantuul steps over most of these. Rebus is also pretty good at pointing them out where they are. But you also see more and more wildlife looking at you as you travel. Up in the branches of the trees, there's these birds that you heard in the distance. You see them now sitting in the trees. Multicolored, beautiful plumages. Strange long beaks. And also some birds, these really teeny tiny birds that sit on top of each other to form one larger bird, or at least give the impression that they're one large intimidating bird, but they're just this flock of teeny tiny birds sitting on top of each other.
It's just 3 birds in a trench coat.
And yet none of them return any of my greetings. Hello to you too. She's been like waving and like nodding at most
How's
things.
temperature around this area?
It's actually cooler than before you came in here. And there's also regularly this cold breeze coming by. But when the breeze rolls in, it's also the smell of wildflowers gets also a lot more intense. At this point, as you're looking and greeting the various creatures, can I get another charisma survival check from all of you?
I will also say, even though I as the player probably know this is a bad idea, Dythun wants to like, if he sees like a pretty interesting flower, he wants to like pick one of those.
Some of the best things start with the words, I as a player know that is a bad idea. So you find a interesting flower that you pluck.
11 for Rayn.
I'm sorry, did you say this was another charisma survival or charisma perception?
Charisma survival.
Okay. So 4.
4, 11,
10.
10.
It slowly gets us.
You still have advantage if you want to use it.
Okay, I'm using my cat advantage. Trying will never try.
Go ahead.
Nope.
Bye, kitty.
I shouldn't use this dice.
Rayn, last night, you took the form of your mother.
Yeah.
Now as you wander through this strange land, you hear, almost next to you, as if she's leaning into your ear, you hear the voice of your mother that goes and just says, "And you'd rather be on this silly adventure."
I immediately try to project my mind, my thoughts, but does it reach anywhere?
Are you projecting your mind as in you're trying to detect thoughts on something?
First, I want to telepathically, like, turn to
Telepathic
the
bond?
mirage and try to say something in my mother's mind. And is there a mind that receives me?
I will answer that question after you give me a Constitution saving throw, please.
Oh shit.
Okay. No, that's not an 18. It's a 13 plus 6.
19 total.
Total.
Here's something that you didn't have happen before when you tried reaching out with your telepathic bond. The moment you try to reach out with the telepathy, and this is something everyone here notices suddenly, it suddenly seems as if every little creature in this patch of forest turns their gaze on Rayn. It's sudden, everyone looks at Rayn at this point, and you feel there's this tension in your head as you're trying to reach out to something else, but there's nothing else to reach out to.
I was about to like retort and complain, but the thought didn't finish as I'm like, ow.
If I like turn to look at Rayn, is she like dead face or is she like actually like doing that?
Ow. I see everything looking at me.
Yeah.
I did say hello. And I start trying to hello telepathically to a bird, a flower, a tree. I'm just like bounce, 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 bounce.
And while you do that, Rayn, Dythun, you looked over at Rayn, and you also, as you look over to her, you hear from behind you your father's voice. Good riddance.
I just immediately longsword attack behind me.
Can you give me an attack roll, please?
Why is my brain not wanting to do math? 12.
You reach up behind you, and you just miss Tantuul, who's standing behind you, who's like, "Whoa, whoa!"
Did you
What?
say something?
Oh no! Oh no! You're hearing a voice.
Maybe.
3 of you, 4 of you, excuse me. Would you make your minds blank for a moment, please? I mean, really blank. Yes? Wonderful. Detect thoughts. Spell expended. And I
Detect
am...
thoughts.
You just see Dythun do the thing cats do, and they're like,
He's spaced out. He's rebooting.
So this is where I'm using the spell to detect the presence of thinking creatures I cannot see. 30 feet, it lasts a minute, and I'm just kind of walking in the little space around us, just kind of like trying to ping with my radar.
30 feet looking for a thinking creature that you cannot see.
Yep, and to remind you, the intelligence has to be at least intelligence 3, or does not speak any language.
Gotcha. You reach out with this magic that has been gifted to you by some strange alien entity. Next to the minds of your companions, those are familiar to you. And you look for another thinking presence. What all of you see while Rayn is doing this is that some of the animals vanish. And stepping out from behind the trees, all of you see shades in the shape of goblins and hobgoblins, wearing armor you've never seen before. Certainly not armor of any armies that you've seen in modern days. They look at Rayn, and their eyes are filled with hatred. As you reach out with your detect thoughts,
What
but
do I
you
detect?
don't feel you don't feel an intellect that your spell could pick up, but you are very aware that what you're doing seems to draw attention to you.
While the spell is up, because at least now they're not being roundabout anymore. It's like, we are visitors. We have reached out with greetings and salutations. Would anyone care to extend us the same courtesies?
The shades
We have
of these
stories.
goblins and hobgoblins, there's about 10 now who have gathered out here. All just these dark shades, red glowing eyes. Tantuul has his sword drawn, looking around at what's happening. You say that, Rayn. Especially that last part, that you have stories. And the goblinoids come closer to the group. Stepping closer. Not disturbing the mist beneath you. As if they're part of the mist.
If I'm not detecting thoughts, but you said I detect intentions, are their intentions, feelings still hostile?
Their feelings, they have feelings of agitation and of insult of what you're doing. But there is also a dash of curiosity in them.
I mean, noticing that there's no movement in the mist as these hobgoblins are coming closer, I think it's pretty clear. So saying a little bit more louder so that everyone in the group can hear it. It seems like as if these are just illusions. Trying to disturb us.
I believe they're a little bit more. They're not too pleased with what I'm doing. But, and I turn again to them, maybe they'd be more pleased at the bevy of adventures we're willing to regale them with. I will turn this off if we would have but a more public conversation with our host. I turn off the spell.
And
But
as
very
you do,
slowly.
as you slowly dim the detection of thoughts, you're projecting your mind out to seek for other minds. The specters of goblinoids dissolve into mist. A cloud, almost a wall of mist now, surrounding the party. The mist dances around you, spiraling upwards, and then falls down like a curtain. And when it does, where there was none before, ahead of you, past a few more trees, lies the opening to a cave. Standing next to the opening, you see one more shade, a tall figure, gesturing towards the opening of the cave, and then stepping into it themselves.
Hey, turmeric, is this the right way?
And Tantuul ignores the new name you gave him, and he just seems to be completely entranced by the figure that's now walking into the cave.
So, anyone else get the feeling that this thing is basically where this so-called trial might start?
I did ask for, a reception, and this is the response I got, so I suppose this is meant for us. We'll be right there.
Maybe you should take a look on Tantuul because it seems like he's not hearing us anymore.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. That was a lot happening right now. That figure. Could it be Mur'taal?
I don't think it was mortal, no.
Mur'taal.
The
The
Hobgoblin
story.
warlord.
Yes.
Yes, sorry.
Chains of Mur'taal.
Yes.
Well, no clue, never seen him. Just know the story, you know.
Good enough for me. And I start slowly walking towards the cave. Well,
I mean, I think it's, whether we wanted to go anywhere else, it looks like this is where we're going now, so. Onward. Start walking with Rayn.
Tantuul looks at you. You are very awfully casual about the fact that you are within the Manifest Zone of a different plane, following into the footsteps of a legendary hero.
I mean, except for the legendary hero part, mate, we've done this a few times.
You know, different planes are not a thing where you will say, oh my god, a plane. That works different than a normal one.
I mean, this one's one of the prettier ones we've been to, but...
True.
I think Rebus would
Seems less
contest
deadly.
that, though.
Rebus is just looking around, and there's actually there's this group of these tiny birds that pile on top of each other that have sat down on Rebus' shoulder, and Rebus is just looking at them. I think this place is rather fascinating. Though I will be honest about my worries that if we're already talking about people hearing voices in their head, I do think back at our previous adventure in a more frozen environment where there were also voices in our head.
And it turned out just fine.
Well, yes.
It could
there
be a
was...
feature of the planes, like voices.
And we're not
And-
anywhere high up for once.
No,
well, yeah.
quite frankly, we are
Not yet.
going into something very deep and dark.
Okay, then let's go into something deep and dark. Otherwise, if we're spending the whole day here, we're not getting anything done.
Rebus
Right,
just, as Rebus walks, they just gently shoo the little birds away who like flutter off. They have like, they're tiny and they
Do
have
they
way
flap
too...
in sync?
They do totally flap in sync, but they also have these way too small wings. Like there's no way they could carry them, but they do flap in perfect sync. It's its own kind of beauty to confirm, to see. And as so, our adventurers stepping out from a strange otherworldly forest now step into a dark cave ahead of them, being invited by the specter of possibly a hero of legend, being extremely down to earth to this. It's going to be interesting to see what exactly these trials will be that they face. If our adventurers will show courage, honor, wisdom, and if all of that is truly necessary to acquire this item. But those are questions for our next session as we wrap up today's chapter of Convergence Manifesto.
Well,
Alrighty.
He's not even giving us the glimpse of a taste of the first trial.
See, that's how I make sure that you are so nice to come back every week again and keep playing this.
Fun.
and that
It's-
felt like we really moved up. Like we're like, okay, now it's like game time.
Next week, Ada will hear some like intensely like frustration in the back of her setup.
No, I won't.
I'm glad to have Dythun back with the group at this point. It's good to have you back, Austin. And I was
be back.
I was glad to also give you a little bit of a little vignette at the start of the game to just get a little bit of a peek of what the hell Dythun is up to.
I really like that. Thank you.
So let me put this into together. So Dythun's family is basically trying to get into the business of this
Mercenary.
Dragon Mark family that is providing mercenaries.
The Nath house, right?
Yeah, I think that was the name.
That was the name of the Dragon Marked house, yeah.
While in fact not having a Dragon Mark themselves.
And even kicking out the dragon marked one they have.
True.
Or disowning.
I mean, like only part of the group knows that Dythun has one.
Only
Seems
Rayn
that
knows.
way.
Yeah, that's why you're the only part of the group that knows it.
It's again so typical that Rayn is the one that has that info.
She didn't look for it, right?
Nope, that's true. That's true. Well, I'm already looking forward to seeing how you will deal with the first trial and maybe even other trials next week. But before we head out for today, do we have any announcements we would like to make? Any kind of what's new, what's brewing, what's upcoming, what do we got? I think there is someone of us here who might be doing something this weekend. Looking at Ida.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that's me. Hi. I will be joining D8 Dungeon in their charity weekend. we'll be playing a game run by Fey Earth. So Fey Earth is a homebrewed world where Fey and magic kind of live side by side with the mortal heritages, races, and peoples. And I will be playing. Let me double check the time. That'll be Friday, I believe, 7:30 BST. So come for raising money for good causes, for reproduction rights even. And there's going to be other games as well. I think Philippa Mort will also be playing a game during the week as well. I think Lalion Cosmo will be playing in a different game as a player as well. So lots of known amazing faces, great representation from the European community, and all for a really good cause. And some good games to top it all off.
Exactly. I dropped both the Twitter link to DA Dungeon and also already the link to their Tiltify page because that's already available. So if you want to already donate even ahead of the game, you can already do so via the Tiltify. If I'm checking it, the goal is 1,000, if I'm not mistaken. And
let's smash that.
They are already, with still a few days to go, they are at more than 300 at this point. So if you have anything to support, go help them out. Great project, great initiative, great people. Anything else that's up in the works? Except that
there's always stuff in the works. You know?
There's always stuff in the works. That's the nature of doing these kind of things. We're always working on something. But anything that might be coming up before our next session next week?
Well, just a reminder, at the moment on the Amps Guild, there's still the Christmas in July sale. So if you want to get some cool stuff as an addition for your games, you can get it there. Also buy my shit that I provide on the Amps Guild, which is a bunch of adventures and supplements. So, yeah. Help me make money so that I can make my own dice.
And to also just highlight a few of the cool things that Caro makes, I dropped a link to all of her stuff in the chat. For example, the fantastic tavern supplement that you created together with
Cage.
With Cage has great, cool, unique taverns in it, and the PDF includes like coasters that you can print if you want to for these different taverns. That's super cool. And Kara, you are also in the Children and Champions of the Fae product. Which what did you again contribute to that one?
I did the Tooth Fairies.
Tooth Fairies, exactly. So that's
not the standard Tooth Fairies.
Exactly. So definitely check out Caro's stuff. There's super cool stuff in there. Links in the chat. And it's Christmas in July. Go get yourself some cool stuff.
Children and Champions of the Fae is one I need to pick up because I love Feywild shit.
It's so pretty. The wool supplement is so damn pretty.
It is.
I love the Feywild, and anything else I can get for it, I'm here for it.
Oh my, what a great coincidence. We're doing something very Feywild related right now.
Not to mention that the adventures I wrote are also connected to Feywatch stuff.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah.
Hey shit.
All right then. I think that is it for today. How about we don't go into some strange caves in the Feywild, but instead just wind down wherever we want to wind down, and gonna make sure that we're. Well, okay, if you want to, you can go close. You're allowed to do that. As long as we make sure that we're gonna be back here next week. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Thank all of you for playing again today. And
thank you for the great game.
Yes, that was a lot of fun.
You're welcome. We're gonna be back next week. Same time, same place. Until then, don't anger the fairies. Always be nice to your tour guide. And absolutely make sure you don't get anyone's name wrong, because we would never get anyone's name wrong. No one would do that. Thanks again. Take care. And see you next week.
Toodles.
Hey.
Bye.